Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Happy Monday, y'all. I hope everybody had is it today Monday? I don't even know what day it is. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, though. And my goodness, we are here. Yeah, I'm like, what day is it? Where am I? We have a wonderful show for you guys today. I have Dr. Dennis Carroll here in the studio today. We're going to be talking about vampires in the music industry, the art industry, and the fashion industry. You guys, we're talking about real life vampires. And I know last week we talked about the mysterious and cursed and possessed Labubu dolls. And so this is almost like a continuation of that show today. Because there is a worldwide satanic agenda, quite possibly. And this might just be a part of it. And it does have to do with control of the masses and maybe even possession of the masses as well. Mind control, all that stuff. Okay. So this is an angle we have not taken before. This is going to be a little bit scary, a little bit. Okay. And, it's stuff that you guys are probably familiar with. Okay, so I don't think I'm breaking any news over here with some of these ritualistic fashion shows. Some of the better known artists, pop artists, rap artists, singers, even street artists, you name it. Rubbing elbows, as they say, with some of these high witches of the fashion industry and the music industry and things like that. And so, yeah, y'all go get the popcorn. This was going to be a really good one today. And I can't wait to bring Dennis up. If you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows, please go over to my website. That is thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows there. And yes, make sure my internet's working okay. It's looking a little wonky, y'all. But please go over to my website. My Patreon link is there, as well as my Etsy shop. That's War Woman Goods. Everything is on sale, I think, till the end of this month, y'all. So if you'd like to support my channel and everything, that's a good way to do it over there on Etsy. Okay, War Woman Goods. Also, I will be at the Full Disclosure Now conference next week down in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I'm hoping to see you guys down there the 15th through the 18th of July. And that is the discount code. I believe it's still good. I have no idea. Just try to use it. If you're coming down and you want last minute tickets, put in that code right there. That's down there on the screen. You can also find that on my website if you need it. Okay. Well, this weekend, y'all, I did add a few extra moderators to the chat. It was a holiday weekend and I needed some extra backup. Okay, for Saturday night. So if I made you a moderator and you don't want to be one, hit me up, okay, and I'll take you back off. But I did need some extra backup because a lot of people were on vacation this weekend, I think. And so thank you to everybody who's here. My entire support team, you guys are the best. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all, every single person that comes into these chats, y'all. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And for all the members of my Hunt Club, I do have a brand new video that I put up yesterday for the Hunt Club. If you guys want to go check that out for the low price of, I don't even know how much it is. It's under $5 a month, y'all. It's maybe like $3 or $4 to become a member of the Hunt Club. And if you need some like a pep talk, some spiritual advice, things like that, go over there. It's a great place. It's a wonderful community. And I really just talk about our everyday lives. And things that are going on in my life and in the world right now. And it's a really good community over there. So thank you guys for all the support over there as well. Okay. Well, let's talk about this vampire community, shall we? Okay. All right. So today we are exploring America's vampire underworld, real life vampires of the past and modern day humans and humanoids with a thirst for blood, particularly in the fashion, art, and music industries. People in these industries and in elite society are rumored to practice blood rituals to alter their DNA to become something beyond human. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. And of course, I have my good friend, Dr. Dennis Carroll here, one of my resident experts on vampires and werewolves. He might be a werewolf. Actually, I don't know. I've never seen Dennis and a werewolf in the same room together. Please help me welcome to the show from Hunting the Shadows podcast on YouTube, Dr. and author Dennis Carroll. Hey, Dennis.
Did somebody mention vampires? Well, that's a subject I can always get my teeth into. Okay, definitely. Absolutely. And, I'm going to start the show with a very famous quote here, Jessica. One of my favorites, okay, by Dr. Abraham Van Helsing, who said, I want you to believe in things that you cannot. And that's what you got to do when it comes to vampires. Okay, absolutely.
Oh, man. Well, it seems like we've got a lot of vampires in this world, and some of them are front and center on the world stage. And I know it's all kind of hearsay, and, people assume, or, some of these pop stars and actors and actresses are very upfront about saying that they'd like to drink each other's blood and things, and could it all be an act? Yes, they're actors. Okay. But it seems like with all of the research that you and I have done, with all of, everything that's going on in the world right now, it seems as though there could be some real life vampires, maybe even some immortals that are on the public stage.
Definitely, Jessica. You think about the Nosferatu, the undead, the Vertalac, the Valvalika, the Stringul, the vampire is a very interesting subject. As a matter of fact, I'm making a presentation now to do at perhaps different conferences and stuff. And in one section in the presentation, I got one section called Vampires I Have Known. Okay, and it's very interesting because here is something you've got to understand about the vampires. And there are so many, we've talked about this before. Well, we'll run over it again right quick. There are many different kinds of vampires, folks. There are energy vampires. There are what we call living vampires that are human beings who have taken on that lifestyle. And then you have demonic vampires, reanimated corpses with demonic spirits in them. And then you have true vampires, which are people who, whatever they decide to do, make dark agreements, sign dark contracts to take upon themselves the power and become vampires because they want the immortality that goes with it, and they want the power. And there is a lot of power with becoming a vampire. You have shape-shifting abilities. You have the glamour that you can use on people, and I'm not talking about makeup glamour here, folks. I'm talking about what we call illusional glamour. It's like a magic that they can use on you. Sure, who would not want to turn down that kind of stuff in some ways? But we got to remember something too. In order to obtain this, you pay a terrible price. There's always a price for these things, But unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't think about that when they go into the pursuit of these things. And you've got people definitely in the fashion world. You've got people in Hollywood. You've got people in media, movies, games. All of this stuff is beginning to show its true hand in all this, Jessica. We're beginning to see what's really going on in the shadows. And it's beginning to reveal itself. And here's the thing about it. Eventually, whatever this stuff is, whatever this darkness, this evil is, it's going to come out one way or the other, and they're going to express it one way or the other. You cannot be full of darkness and evil without it showing up some way or another in your life. We've seen this with serial killers. I've seen this in law enforcement. You get too much darkness in you, it spills out eventually. Eventually, it's going to come out. And if you happen to be a fashion icon or someone who's into the fashion world, it's going to come out with you that way. It's like this woman we were talking about the other day that does the so-called spirit cooking. That is nothing but another name for ritualistic magic. That's basically what it is. And you see this showing up in many different areas of that. Yeah, look at that. Why do you need these kind of images and stuff? They're bringing it out in the open finally, showing what they truly are and the things that they do and then engaging in. Let me tell you something. When you got a head, and that's probably a mannequin. I hope it is. And it's
No,
not somebody. Okay.
that's a person. That's an actual living
But,
woman. I think she's
but
alive.
it's very important, though, Jessica, that we understand what the symbolism is here. That's what they're symbolizing. They're saying this is a mannequin today, and tomorrow it may not be. It may be a live person. You know.
Exactly. Well, they do things behind closed doors. Okay, that it's a big old club and we ain't in it. Okay, and thank God we're not in it. Okay, at least I'm not. Okay, and I know you're not either. But it's pretty scary that this is what is on our world stage. Not only is that woman who's holding up the bloody goat head, this performance artist, she's also the ambassador. I don't know if she still is or not, but I believe she's the ambassador to the Ukraine, right? Am I mistaken? Do you know, Dennis? I think she's the ambassador to the Ukraine, or at least she was under the last administration, and that's her with the Rothschild guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these people are in very high places in government and in all sorts of positions all over the world, Dennis.
Yeah, definitely. You know, these people, the movers and shakers, they go back to and we won't probably talk too much about that today, but they are connected to the old bloodlines that go all the way back in my book straight to the Nephilim and fallen angel and activity and all that stuff. These are definitely the connections that are there. They are connected to a darkness, absolutely. And these people are going to show that sooner or later in the things that they do. That's just like that lady, that so-called comedian, who had to show a picture of her holding Trump's head. You know, she was doing it for shock value, and they say, "Oh, this is entertainment." You know, this is what we do in entertainment. But you got to realize that under this so-called veneer of entertainment, there's a message being given out here. There's a symbolism going on here that's telling you something other than this is not just mere entertainment, folks. What they're doing on the stage with these stuff is ritualistic stuff. It's ritualistic magic. And, you know, we need to do a show one day, Jessica, on nothing but magic because it's a fascinating subject. There's so many different types of magic in this world. And, of course, magic, like anything else, can be used for good or bad. You know, that's just the way it goes. But that's what you're seeing here. They're showing you some of the precepts of the dark magic that they're involved in. And that's what the symbolism is all about. And we've talked about symbols before, you know, on your show many times. It's another secret language. But also there's power in symbolism. They're hooking up with a power when they use these symbols. So it's a power thing. It's power and control with these guys.
It is. That person you're speaking of is Kathy Griffin, I think. And yes, Dan, Anderson Cooper's deceased brother, potentially. I know it's a wild and wacky world in Hollywood, y'all. And everything is inverted and upside down. And so, yeah, that might actually, I don't know. It could be Anderson's brother, but I don't know. That's all just a rumor. Okay. This is all for entertainment purposes only, y'all. Thank you, Dan. That's true. It's kind of sick. Okay. The way they're putting all this out and just out into the public. And it's literally infiltrated every parts of our lives. If we don't watch TV, it's not so bad. Okay. Some of us don't watch TV at all. I don't watch TV. I'm here doing my shows too often and stuff. I don't even know what day it is today. Okay. So, I ain't got time for that. All right. But I do my research when it comes down to these shows and stuff like that. And I see, it is daily. I mean, you can go on TikTok, my trusted news source, and there are all sorts of rap artists. I'm just gonna use the rap artist for instance, right? Like Sexy Red. I came across something. It just came across my feed, and she was talking about how she has sold her soul, and she doesn't want to take it back. She doesn't want to change it because she's making too much money. And let me tell you. Yeah.
Let me tell you something funny when you mentioned that. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm getting old, so I got to speak when I lose my train of thought here. But let me say this. Right, quick. It's all about imagery, you know, and you're so right about that, Jessica. It's in the imagery that they're putting forth. And let me say this: the imagery is speaking volumes of what they want you to know. Okay, And the imagery has a power of its own. It is the way that they hook into this kind of stuff. And we've got to realize that's what they're truly trying to push over on us. And so it's not just entertainment, but we've got to be very, very, very careful what we take into our minds and what we let into our, because this is also a form of mind control. And that is a big part of magic, mind over matter. That's what magic is all about, okay? And that's what they're doing to us. They're performing this kind of dark magic on us with this imagery and all that stuff. Let me tell you a quick something to think about, okay? And I'll let you continue. I found this out the hard way many years ago, okay? I can write some great stuff and put it on Facebook, but nobody wants to read it. They want to look at the pictures that goes with it. Okay. I've had a lot of people come up and say, "Oh yeah, I like what you put on it, but I liked your picture. That's a great picture." They can't. The imagery is everything, folks, and these guys know that. Okay, the image is everything. All right, and even to certain for you and me, Jessica, the image of you and me, that's our reputation. It speaks about who we are. Okay, what is it saying about these guys? Think about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, some people have no shame in their game. Okay, and that's where we get all of these new artists and stuff in Hollywood, on the music scene and things like that. There's a lot of people who just would not mind selling their soul to the devil. Okay, for some money and for some fame, and it's a tale as old as time, right, Dennis? I mean, people have been doing this for a long time, selling their souls and getting the talent, and a lot of them don't have a lot of talent. I'm sorry. I hate to say that, but I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. You can tell some artists, you're like, well, they must have sold their soul, okay? Because I don't know how they're even putting records out. I'm just saying. That's my opinion, y'all. Okay, but it seems as though this is what's going on in the music industry right now, and I want to kind of go back to we're talking about vampires today. Okay. And I remember when I was in maybe college or a little after college, I remember Angelina Jolie was married to Billy Bob Thornton. Okay. And Dennis, I'll never forget, she always talked about how she wore a vial of his blood on her necklace. Do you remember that? Yeah. What's up with that?
That's definitely part of the vampire culture. It's a fixation on blood, but it's also a fixation on energy, soul energy as well. Okay, and you hear a lot of people, especially a lot of these people that talk the new age kind of stuff that they're talking about. They're always talking about energy transference and tapping into the soul, the energy of the soul, and life energy and all this stuff. That's part of it too. Here's the thing about it, Jessica. If I drink your blood, I'm not only drinking your blood, Jessica, okay? I'm not only drinking your blood. Guess what else I'm drinking? I'm drinking your life.
Oh,
That's what
yeah. Oh, man. Well, a lot of people like to do that. And they were pretty upfront about it. Okay. About, I don't know if they were talking about drinking each other's blood or they just wore each other's blood or what. But then we had another couple in Hollywood who was very vocal about drinking each other's blood, and that's Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly as well. And for you guys who don't know, Megan Fox is an actress, and her, I guess she was married to Machine Gun Kelly. This guy's like a music artist, I guess, and they, I mean, they bragged about drinking each other's blood and biting each other and basically being vampires. So that was out there in the public as well. And I also wanted to go to, okay, this is Playboy Cardi. Okay, he's a rapper, he's an artist or whatever. And he recently came out with I guess a song called Vamp Anthem, like Vampire Anthem. He started dressing like a vampire though. When he started releasing this, he's got the horns, he's got the teeth, he's got all that. And people in the industry, people started talking about how people in the industry, in the music industry, that is, all practice, just about all of them, from what I've been told, most or if not all of them, practice some kind of blood ritual to become something kind of like Blade. You know that movie Blade? Okay, like with all the underground vampires, that's a real culture. Okay, there is an actual underground vampire culture in all of the major cities, just about. And I know Atlanta's got a vampire culture. I never was a part of it. I never saw those folks, but they were lurking in the shadows.
What really concerns me about that, Jessica, a lot of these people are not only embracing the lifestyle, they are embracing the very essence of what this thing truly is. They are embracing the darkness of the vampire. It's not just a goth thing, you know. You see a lot of these people, you know, they were goth and they wore the goth clothes and all that. It's not just that. It goes far beyond that. Although that is somewhat of a celebration of death in some ways. Okay, the gothic thing. Uh, but it goes beyond that. It goes into a spiritual darkness. The vampire represents spiritual sickness, really, okay, or spiritual infection of darkness. That's what it really embodies. And someone who embraces something like that tells you exactly they're not coming from a good place, and they're definitely not going to a good place with it. Okay, that's just the way that goes. But these people, and you know, they do. Oh yeah, they do drink each other's blood. And here's the thing about it: they're very selective about how they do that because they have to screen each other out. You don't want to, suck somebody's blood that's got a venereal disease or something. You definitely don't want to go that way. You want to screen out who you're dealing with here, and and they want to screen you out. That's the way this works. So it's a buddy system, but it's kind of a sick parasitic buddy system here. Okay, that we're talking about. And this darkness is not just the darkness of the absence of light. This is a spiritual darkness that goes far beyond that when you think about it. And if you absolutely go 100% and embrace and become a true vampire, which you can do, and with certain satanic rituals, you can do that and embrace the true and become 100% vampire. You will definitely sell your soul for that. I mean, that's where your soul goes. Let me tell you something. We got to keep this in mind, folks. Your soul is not a commodity. I can't weigh it on a scale, okay? I can't say how much is how many pounds is your soul there, Jessica, and how much is it worth. You don't deal with the soul that way. When you sell your soul, it means you give yourself over completely to the darkness. That's what you're selling. You're selling your own self out to the darkness. You become the darkness. And that is the spiritual aspect of this, folks. Your very spirit becomes darkness. So that's where your soul goes. You lose your soul. You lose your humanity. You are what? Number one word, lost.
Lost. Well, you know what kind of is concerning for me is, I have a young kid. He just turned 11. Okay. And he is very impressionable, and I made some pretty dumb decisions when I was like 18, 19 years old. I mean, I was technically an adult, right? But I was right out of high school into college. And I'm looking at some of these artists that are young. They're very young. I don't think I would have even understood the full implication of what I was doing and I wouldn't have done this, but if I had been at that age, even in my early 20s, God, all the way up to my 30s, probably. I was pretty wild, man. I like to have a lot of fun, and I was very responsible as well. But like, I just don't know, knowing the implications, the full implications of, signing a name and a contract, and, not only are you selling your soul to the devil, as they say, right? But you are, I mean, this is where we come into like the cloning. Okay. The cloning. I mean, I was actually going to get into like the Travis Scott stuff today as well, with Michelle LeMay, I think is her name, or Lamey. I don't know. She's Lamey, or I say LeMay, but get into that. I mean, a lot of sacrifices going on. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And things like that. It's almost like once you get in it's the money, the glitz, the glamour, the sex and all that kind of stuff. It seems like the wild and crazy lifestyle until, what happens when you die, Dennis? I mean, are these people going to go to heaven? I mean, what? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a lot to take in.
You got to look at it this way, Jessica, okay? Just take yourself, for instance. You sacrificed a lot to have this channel. to get where you're at today, with your career, right? Okay.
Mhm.
That specifies the fact you got to sacrifice things for things you want to get sometimes. That we know that's part of life, okay? But
Yeah.
the darkness requires much more of a sacrifice that people fully, truly understand and realize. And that's what a lot of these young people are seeing. They only see what, like you say, they don't see the full implications of what they're doing here. They only see what they want, and they've only got their eyes on the prize, and they don't see what the price is for that prize. Okay, and I'm not going to say that people are actually signing contracts in blood, although that may happen. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. You don't have to do that to sell your soul, my friends. You just got to give it over to the darkness. You got to give it over to the darkness. 100. Surrender yourself to the darkness. That's what it's looking for. That's what it wants, and that's what these people are doing, not fully realizing the price is your soul. And here's the thing about it, Jessica. If I were to become a vampire today and turn myself over to this darkness, I got to realize something. That darkness is going to require more and more and more sacrifice, whether it be blood, whether it be life, whatever it may be. It's going to require more and more from me. Okay, that's just the way the darkness works. And you don't, when you sign that agreement, when you go into these agreements or whatever you decide to do with that and sell your soul, you don't understand that that's not the end of it. That's just the beginning of your
Mhm.
problem. Okay, that's the very beginning of it. This is You got to remember something about darkness. It doesn't require something that's very superficial right up front. It requires a living price that never stops giving and
Oh, yeah.
taking from you.
Yes.
That's the price.
Yes. And from what I understand, I don't know if this is true or not, but I hear that you continuously have to make sacrifices after you sign your name on the, bloody line or whatever that is. And I am connecting this into like the satanic agenda. I am. I know we talked about the Labubu dolls. I've had many people contact me over that show that we did last Monday. And about the Labubu dolls, I have a friend who does sessions with children and things like that, like hypnotherapy or counseling sessions. And these dolls are coming up in some of those sessions, okay, with children. And it's very dark, pretty downright just demonic, is what she was saying. So, um,
We, we need to understand, Jessica. The children are the future. Your child is the future. Your child's
yeah,
going to go where you're not going to go one day. One day you're going to get old, he's going to go on into the future. That's the future. Okay.
right.
Darkness wants our future. Okay. Not just us here and now. It wants our future too. That's why it's going after these children. Don't you understand? That's why it's brainwashing them. It's attacking them, not only mentally, emotionally, and physically, but spiritually as well. That's the way this thing works. And that's what they want the children for. They are the future. You know
Mhm.
what? It's one thing to secure the present. Okay. We can't do anything about the past. The past is gone. No matter what we've done, it's gone. Okay. We can't
Yeah.
do a whole lot about the past, but right here and now is where we're living with the consequences of what we do. Okay. And the future is also very important. And that's what these guys are out after. They're after the future, which is our children and grandchildren, our prodigy. That's what they want.
That's right. Well, okay, so I was kind of I prefaced what I was about to say with the whole worldwide satanic agenda, right? And some of these artists, okay, let's just say artists, people who want to be famous, make a lot of money. Who doesn't want to be famous, make a lot of money? I don't know. I'd rather make more money than be famous. Okay, I guess just to have a nice lifestyle. I don't know. But honestly, I'd rather just be a good person and enjoy my life and be comfortable. Ultimately, that's what I want. Okay, just be a good person, right? But okay, so through testimony of people like Bill Schnoebelen, he talked at the Legacy Club. He talked about like once you join the Brotherhood of Satanhood, Satan, I think that's what it is. You can go up to levels and you can become a vampire, or you can choose to become a werewolf. Okay,
Mhm.
well let's talk about getting into the Church of Satan. Okay, and signing your name on that line and turning your soul over to the music industry or the devil or whatever it is. You're actually, from what I was reading, when you do that, you bring in people with you. Okay. And it's almost like it's not just you had to bring in like 6 or 7 of your friends or something like that. And I have a picture. I think this is ASAP Rocky, but I'm not sure. I think that's ASAP. But if this is real, I don't know if this is for a music video, or if I don't know if this is just a straight up ritual where he was selling his soul or whatever they call it. Theoretically speaking, this is for entertainment purposes only. But there's at least 6 of his friends standing right behind him, right there with their books open to I don't know, was that a satanic hymnal? Like, I don't know what that is. The Satanic Bible. I mean, who knows? It could just be a songbook and they're singing songs. But Dennis, it's not just you. You have to bring your friends with you, right, Dennis? What do you know about that?
Absolutely, you are required, and that's part of the sacrifice. You are required to, try to entice your circle of friends into what you're doing. You're always looking for recruits. The more you do this, the more sort of brownie points you get. Okay, that's the way it works with the darkness. Absolutely, and if you can get more converts in, definitely, and covens, whatever they may be covens of, whether they be vampire, werewolf, satanic, witches, whatever the situation, they're always looking for more recruits to increase their cone of power. That's what it's all about. And when you become one of these things, Jessica, whether you decide to become a vampire or a shape-shifting or a skinwalker or whatever, or werewolf, whatever you decide to become, you got to remember something. It also gives you a form of immortality. Okay. Now think about this a moment. Take someone like, and I'm just using this as an example. Okay. Somebody like George Soros has got all the money in the world, or Elon Musk got all the money in the world, but one day you're going to have to lay down, die, and leave it. But what if you didn't have to do that? What if you could still hold your power and be immortal like a god on this planet, and you wouldn't have to die? And I'm going to tell you something about the werewolf, the vampire. We lose sight of it. Okay. They will live forever. They're going to live. They're not going to die unless they're unalived, unless they're destroyed. And you can destroy a vampire. You can destroy a werewolf. You can destroy these things. You can kill skinwalkers very easily. I know how to do it. There's no problem. You can unalive them. But if you don't, they're going to live forever, And I had a case, a good friend of mine talked to me the other day about a case where we met a guy that the man talked and acted like somebody from medieval times. And it would not surprise me a bit if this guy was a werewolf and he's been living like that for hundreds of years. And he's smart. He survived. You see, nobody's tracked him down. Probably moves from place to place. He stays one step ahead. And you got to do that in a survival game, especially if you're immortal.
Oh yeah. And speaking of which, Dennis, I was thumbing through the internet and stuff yesterday, and I found a interview that Mel Gibson did. Now, Mel Gibson is a famous actor, and he was talking about, let's see if I have it here, Christopher Walken. Okay, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this story, but Christopher Walken, who is also a famous actor, he claims that he is a vampire. Mel Gibson, this is what he said. Okay, so I transcribed this. He said that Christopher Walken is a vampire. He came to see him on a rooftop in New York City. He floated.
I got a story about him. When you get through, I got a story, but go ahead.
Okay. So Christopher Walken floated sideways up to a rooftop on a building in New York City, sideways through a crowd of people, gracefully landed on the rooftop and sat down in a chair with Mel Gibson. He said they casually talked about the Middle Ages. And they talked about torture, I guess, people being tortured and torture devices. And Mel Gibson's assistant was so uncomfortable that they ended up leaving. And at some point, Mel Gibson said that he looked up and he saw the number 666 on the side of a building, and it was flashing. He said that that's the moment that he looked at Christopher Walken and said, that man is the Antichrist. And that's what he said. And that you can find that online, you guys. It's the interview he's done. He's talked about it. I thought it was wild. But I mean, is this just soft disclosure, Dennis? I mean, they're telling us about, these people being actual immortal vampires and floating around.
Well, I think what you're referring to actually was Christopher Walken, I think, showed up on the set of The Passion of the Christ. when Mel Gibson was doing that, and a lot of people kind of got upset about that. And it's like,
Oh,
they were doing something good and evil shows up, kind of thing. That's what somebody said. Now, well, let me tell you a quick story about Christopher Walken. I heard about this. Okay, I read it somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but they said he showed up, and he's got to be what? He's got to be pushing 80, right? He's got to be very
800.
old.
He's
80.
800.
Okay. Anyway, he shows up at a movie set. Okay, and and they're talking about this now. People say, "Look how young he looks." This is before they put any makeup or anything on him. And people are going, "Look how young he looks. It's amazing." And I'm thought, yeah, that is amazing, isn't it? Maybe that's something we need to look a little closer at. Why does he look so young looking?
The
Maybe
blood.
he's drinking the right kind of blood.
The blood. Well, there's people like, I mean, some of these actors and actresses have come forward and talked about how they use the blood and they use body, I want to say body parts and like skin. Like Sandra Bullock was on, I want to say Oprah, maybe at some point she was being interviewed and they were asking her, well, how do you stay so young? She was like, well, I use the foreskins of children across the world on my face or something, some kind of liquid potions and stuff. And there's other people like Kim Kardashian, for instance, I think this is her with Michelle Lamy right here. She bragged about using a blood facial. I don't know if it's her own blood or somebody else's. She said that's how she stays young looking. Is of course she's got surgery too, but it's blood.
It's very much like a sort of a Elizabeth Bathory type thing, where you bathe in blood to retain your youth, which she supposedly did. The Countess Bathory. Actually,
Like that.
they walled her up in a castle as a punishment because you didn't back in that day, and back in the day you didn't kill the nobles. You couldn't do that, but anyway, that's definitely something she did to retain youth, supposedly. We do know that there are certain properties in blood that will do that sort of rejuvenate you to a certain extent. That's what your own blood does in your body to a certain extent too. It rejuvenates you. It's continually rejuvenating you. And if something doesn't work right in your body, like your liver goes haywire or your kidneys go bad or whatever the situation, and it's not filtering your blood out right, that shows up definitely in different diseases and medical problems that you will have. So the blood is continually what? Rejuvenating you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was on Ellen. Thank you, Maureen. It was on Ellen. Big surprise. Big surprise there. And and so this is I just showed a picture. I showed two pictures. One was of Slim Shady, okay, Eminem, Marshall Mathers, whatever his name is, okay, and the other one was DMX. But that this is something that the music industry will do at some point. I don't know if they're trying to say that they're baptized in blood. I don't know what this is, but it is a common occurrence to have these, artists that are going big time, that are, some of the biggest names out there, are photographed in tubs of blood. Dennis, what would be the significance behind that? Would it be just like that, the woman who used to bathe in the children's blood?
There again, look at the imagery. What's it telling us? Hey, maybe he does that every day. Maybe he's used to that kind of stuff. It's not just a photo shoot thing. The imagery, though, is all about the message that's trying to get across to us here. And they're making this normal. They're making this kind of a normal thing going on. Here's the thing that they're doing, Jessica. This is insidious the way this goes about it. It's very subtly desensitizing us to this kind of stuff. Okay? It's not shocking anymore. It's not bothering us, making us uncomfortable. Once upon a time, something like that should have made us very uncomfortable, And it's desensitizing us, and that's what they want to do. That's the goal.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Countess Bathory. She took baths in the blood of children. It is, yes, Robin, it is not a milk bath. That's for sure. But yes, it is becoming desensitizing to the general public, I guess. I mean, for some of us, like Hillbilly Herb said that he passes out when he sees blood. Listen, I do too. I panic. I used to panic. It's not so bad now. but you can ask my family. My nephew cut his head one day at the pool, and I had to call 911, and I was so like just frazzled by it. I could not remember the number to 911, Dennis. I could not remember the number because I was looking at blood on my nephew's head, and I was so freaked out by it. And I'm not so bad now, but back then I was. I'm not a huge fan of blood. Okay, but nonetheless, here we go again with the blood, Dennis. We talk about blood just about every single episode we do now. I think it's there's something to it. There's definitely something to it, and so I wanted to get into the fashion industry, okay? Because we've talked about the music industry before. We know that it's they've got a lot of satanic symbolism and things that go on there. People selling their souls, and now we've got people admitting that they drink each other's blood, and they're putting out albums quite regularly that look like satanic, and concerts too that look like satanic rituals. I mean, a lot of this is just a big ritual, right, Dennis? Is this a ritual on the masses?
Mm-hmm.
Look
at these. These are very demonic images. That's part of the thing too. Look at the horns and all the symbolatry stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
That's part of the power too. We got to understand this, Jessica. It's part of their power to put forth these symbols, and it's the symbolism that they're using. It increases their power, gives them more power. It's just like if you and I, the longer we work out, the bigger our muscles get. Okay, that's just the way the human body is designed. Okay, if you work out enough, you get bigger muscles out of those stronger muscles.
Yeah.
They're getting power out of this kind of stuff. Don't you understand? The more you push out the darkness, the more you mess with it, and the more you highlight it, the stronger it becomes. We've talked about this before on some of your shows as well. We have to be very careful with even the words we speak sometimes, because words are power. What is a spell? Can you think what a spell is? It's an incantation. It's words being put forward, giving them power. You give it power to these words, and symbols are the same way. Symbols work the same exact way. They may not be spoken, but they're given out as forms of power. They have a power attached to them. And the more symbolic stuff you do, the more it increases your power. They're getting a juice off of this, okay? They're getting juiced up by this stuff spiritually, okay? That's what it's doing for this form. But also, it is desensitizing us. It is also pulling us into their little ritualistic thing, whether we know it or not. And that's why we have to be very, very careful when we deal with symbols like this. We don't need those laying around our house. We don't need to be looking at those all the time. We don't need to be indulging in that. But that's what they want us to do, you see. They're pulling us that way. And we got to pull back the other way against this stuff. We need to.
Yes. And I want to make this very clear, y'all. It's not everybody that's in the music industry, in the fashion industry, the art industry. I've got friends in all of those industries to some degree. Okay. And it's not everybody. It's just some of them. Okay. And those are the ones that get the most attention, I guess, from the media and stuff, especially on TikTok, things like that. But it's not everybody. Okay. There's a lot of good people out there, you guys, that are not bathing in blood. Okay. And not doing sacrifices to get where they are.
It's a very important thing, Jessica. And that's what we're trying to warn people today. Yeah. There is a price to pay for this. Okay. The more you even watch this stuff, the more you indulge in, the more you have it on your mind, the more of a power it has over you. And we have to be very careful about that. We have to really be on guard against these things because that's what they're doing. They're using us in this capacity. It's one thing. I'm going to say this, okay? It's one thing if I want to sit down and do something and worship the devil all day, whatever I want to do, that's my choice. But when I pull you into it, whether you want to or not, that's not good. That's not a good thing, definitely. And especially among young people, this is being done, okay? And like what I said earlier, that's the future, and that's what they're after. They want. You got to remember the agenda of darkness is said with two different words. Listen to the words very closely: corruption and destruction. That's what it's all about.
And chaos. Yes. I've seen several comments about how vampires have bad breath. And I could see that. I remember I always reference, I don't always reference, but a lot of times I've oftentimes referenced the Legacy Club interview that Bill Schnoebelen did. And he talks about how his, I don't know if it was like his DNA, but some kind of chemical makeup in his body changed when he took the vow, the oath, the rituals to become a vampire as he leveled up in the Brotherhood of Satan, the Church of Satan.
To become a vampire, Jessica, and do whatever this is, or a werewolf, whatever it changes your very molecular structure. So, yeah, it's going to change your DNA because that's part of it. Okay, it's going to change your blood system. It's going to change you. It's going to change. And if you go on and have children like that, they're going to be infected with it. Okay, that's just the way that works. And that's why we talk about these cursed bloodlines, where this darkness comes from and all this stuff. These cursed bloodlines have been infected. Okay, they've been tainted by darkness. Okay, and like we said before, if you find out tomorrow that you got one of these bloodlines, you still have a choice. You can either reject it or embrace it. And these people are on purpose embracing the darkness, okay? And when you do that, you sell your soul. In order to do that, you got to sell your soul out. And you can also badly affect the generations to come of your children and your grandchildren if you're not careful doing this kind of stuff, okay? Yeah, that's part of the thing. Let me tell you, what did I say earlier? It requires sacrifice, even if you have to sacrifice your future generations to this.
Mm-hmm.
This is how far-ranging this kind of darkness goes, folks. It doesn't just stop with you.
Yes, that's true. And Don has a really good question, Dennis. And I've wondered this myself. He said, so some rock stars are saying they're not Satanists, but Luciferians instead. Is there much of a difference?
Just dressing it up with a fancy name. The Luciferians are the really same thing. Although they will argue in it's over not, we don't even really believe in Satan and all. Why do they call themselves Luciferians then? Okay. Lucifer's the name that means a light bringer. Okay. And they'll tell you, but here's what they will eventually tell you that, okay, God is the bad guy and Lucifer was the good guy.
Yes,
that's their belief. Yeah. That's their belief system, and all in a nutshell for you right there. Okay, that's exactly what they believe. But you know what they will tell you though? We don't believe in gods. We believe in man. Man, therefore, is their God.
Mm-hmm.
It's some real crazy stuff. We need to do a show on that, just a long one day. That's the stuff that's crazy. That people are actually believing and buying this crap. Okay. From these guys, and this is part of a lot of this new age junk that's going on out there too. You're God and God's you. No. That does not work that way, folks. That's their line. And let me tell you what. Guess how old this is? It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. Okay, that's how old this is. Okay, and that's where it comes from. Don't believe it. Luciferians are Satanists. Although they're just kind of more quiet and sneakier and secret about it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're like. Some of these secret organizations and societies are.
Oh yeah,
they hold their secrets. Yeah, very well.
Yes, it is a big secret. We'll probably never fully know exactly what's going on behind all these closed doors, but okay. I was just thinking. I just got a flash of. Oh, I don't know if I should bring this up, but like we're going to be talking about cannibalism in just a minute because I am going there today. Okay, with some of these famous people. Okay, and there was a time, I don't know where I saw this, but there was something about the Epstein stuff, the island and everything, and it looked like there were videos of people partaking in that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. And I hate bringing that up, but. Derek Wright says, remember in the Holy Bible, it also says there's power in the blood. Yes. Leviticus actually from the Old Testament.
the Bible also says the blood is the life.
That's right.
And you got to remember, the cross required the sacrifice of blood. God, once upon a time, required you to sacrifice things in atonement for your sins. And you had to go pick out the best lamb or the best goat that had no blemish. You didn't give God some crummy thing you didn't want to, keep. You had to give him the best. God demanded the best, and that's what you sacrifice, and it's blood atonement for sins. Well, finally, God said, enough's enough. One day I will give you the ultimate sacrifice. It will, wipe all. I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, that's where that comes from. The blood is the life. Okay. And, and that's very much like the boo hag we talk about here in South Carolina. She's a vampire. She's also a shape-shifting witch. Okay. And she lays on top of you and sucks the life out of you. Every breath you take gets shorter and shorter and shorter till finally you ain't breathing no more. And then she steals your skin. Okay. These things supposedly do that because not only is the blood your life, but also the breath as well. The breath that comes to you, that's life as well, is just like your blood is. So definitely these things are required by darker entities. That's what they're feeding off of. And they're using that. They're stealing. They are thieves. They're stealing your life from you, however which way they go about it.
Oh, yeah. Getting that loose. Yeah, because we got the energy vampires in addition to the blood drinking vampires. And then we got the cannibals too. Hey, Marty. Marty says Bill Schnoebelen was a high level Mason who chose the vampire route instead of the werewolf route. He has a video on his story. He's now renounced that and turned to Christ. Yes, he is now he's a minister now, from what, a rabbi or a minister. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an interesting dude, y'all. If you wanna get the real deal, y'all go check him out. And he's recently started doing interviews, and I was thinking, man, if I could get him on the channel, that'd be something, wouldn't it? If he would do that. So we'll see. We'll see. I am not scared to reach out.
Definitely, Jessica. That's what like the Luciferians we were talking about earlier. They believe in the sanctity of man more so than God. So they are. You got to remember, these people are worshiping the creation and not the creator. That's where they're really screwing up here, folks. Okay, and that's where witchcraft gets bad. And certain the pagan stuff, the scene is at. They're worshiping the creation and not the creator. And man is what? Man's part of the creation. Okay, he's not the creator, he's part of the creation. And if you get stuck and hung up on man being your savior, being the one that's going to help you, there is a belief in this world that one day we're all going to live in a utopian society. There'll be no more crime. All disease is going to be taken care of. We're all going to be happy-go-lucky guys going out and sniffing the daisies. That ain't going to happen, folks. Mankind's never going to do that. Okay? Yeah. Only the creator is going to be able to fix that. But these guys don't believe that. See, they believe in the sanctity of man itself. And that is where they're going to go wrong, because man is imperfect. No matter which way you look at it, you're not going to get perfection out of mankind. It just ain't going to happen. It's like that old saying, blood out of a turnip, That don't happen. You're not going to get that out of man. But they get hung up on that, and that's what they're stuck on. And here's the thing about the cannibalism. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But that is a sacrilege to certain things, and we'll talk about that too. But I'll wait. I don't want to get ahead of you here.
It's okay. I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole in itself, and I'm hesitant to do a show just on cannibalism because it's so gross, and the rabbit hole goes so deep with that one, especially even in like the possibility of human byproducts, I guess you could say, or body whatever DNA being put into our food supplies as well. And there was a movie about that called Soylent Green. If you guys want to go back and watch that sometime, and
Soylent Green, feeding the world one person at a time.
Yeah. It's people.
That's what it kind of was. We're going to end up eating ourselves one day. That's a sad thing to think about. Hey, let me tell you something. Something is already doing that in the world. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did you know that chickens are eating chickens? We are feeding chickens.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's
Yeah, I
where
mean,
chicken feed comes from. Chicken
yes,
feed.
I have definitely seen some chicken wing bones in the parking lots and birds pecking on them before. And I thought, man, that is terrible. That is terrible. Somebody should not have left those chicken bones sitting there for these hungry birds. So, um, I don't know. It's a rough cycle there,
That's
but
the
mhm,
That's supposed to be, Jessica, by the way, one of the signs of the end times. Animals will actually become more cannibalistic, supposedly, and start turning on each other and eating each other.
mhm,
And I hope we don't see that in our lifetime, but that's supposed to be one of the signs that will show up in nature. Cannibalism. There's a reason why God always frowned upon cannibalism. It just ain't the right thing to do. This is a big taboo here. You just don't go around eating your own kind.
yeah.
That's just the way that goes. But fish are allowed to do that, by the way. Fish eat fish. There you go. But
Oh my
anyway,
gosh.
not people.
Oh my God. The other white meat? Oh man. Okay. Dan, I'll put that on the list, the Euphrates River, for the remote viewing. Thank you for that. I'm always looking for good suggestions for the remote viewing pool. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to some. Let's go to some high witches. I don't know if that's how you say it, but some people who are said to be witches within some of these communities, like the fashion industry, which overlaps with the music industry and the art industry as well. And there is a woman who has been making headlines for at least the past year now. I've been seeing her all over the place, and her name is Michelle Lamy. Okay, and she is a I want to say peculiar looking lady. I'm sure she's a beautiful soul, really nice lady, but she looks like
There's,
she would be a witch. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just
there's
saying.
talk about, you mentioned this the other day when we were doing the show about the dolls, where they were like putting incantations over the liquid death, So
Yes. Yeah.
supposedly some of these people in the fashion industry are doing this with the clothing lines. They're supposed to be doing incantations of them to get people to buy them, and it's sort of like part of that illusional glamour we talked about with the vampires. They're making you look at a piece of clothing, and it's got this influence over it, and you say, "Oh, I got to have that," and you probably don't really want it, but you say, "I got to have that." I don't know why I want to buy that, but I got to buy it. Maybe there's a reason why you feel that way.
Oh yeah, just like I've got to buy that Rick Owens purse that she's carrying of his head, his decapitated head. That's that's actually I think that's a purse that looks like it's a replica of her husband's head, who is a famous,
Well,
fashion guy.
we got to wonder about her clientele. That people actually want to buy that? You know what
Yes,
I'm saying? Who's she selling this for? It's
I
got to
mean
be
it's
people like
fun.
her. Look at her. It's got to be people like that.
Well, I bet she's really cool to hang out with. Okay, I'm just saying. I don't know. I probably would have hung out with her when I was in my 20s. Okay, but here's the thing about it is that there's okay. Well, here's her husband's fashion line. Okay, this is kind of typical Rick Owens right here. It's a little different. You know what I mean? It's different. It's fashion. It's fashion.
Mhm.
But see, this woman is just like Marina Abramovich or Abramovich. Brick. I don't know what her last name is. Marina. Okay. Uh, these women
Well,
are held in high esteem with the elite, Dennis.
we got to remember something like those Kardashians there, okay? Jessica, it's very important to remember something. They're all about shock value. That's why a lot of these starlets show up on the red carpet half naked with
Yeah.
see-through clothes on and all that. It's the shock value thing that they're trying to get across here. And that's what a lot of this stuff is. It's trying to shock people or be talked about or somebody really noticing you because of the weird
Yeah.
thing, way you look and the clothes that you wear.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but absolutely. Listen, this is good for business. Okay, it's good for business. Any kind of publicity is good publicity when it comes to being famous and these people who are in the public eye. I'm just saying, any publicity is good publicity, and so the weirder the better. Okay, the weirder the better, and they obviously don't ever get in trouble for anything. Okay, so they can pretty much have free will to do the raunchiest, weirdest stuff they want because nobody ever gets any. The justice system doesn't care apparently. It's what it seems like at least. this is for entertainment purposes only, of course, y'all. But it just seems like people are getting away with stuff they probably shouldn't, right? But let's go back to the shock factor, right? You know, there's a music artist named Travis Scott. You know, we've mentioned him before. This is from an ad or something, I guess, for Michelle's husband's fashion line, I believe. And this is just weird. Okay, this is weird. Look at all the orbs in the picture. That's Travis Scott, who had that concert about a year or two ago where all those people died. A bunch of people died. And they say it was like a human, it was like a ritual sacrifice when that happened. Okay, and this is all for entertainment purposes only. It's all rumors. I don't know if this is true or not.
That's like Sean Diddy with his freak offs, you know.
Oh no.
Yeah, all that kind
Oh
of
God.
junk. Definitely,
Yikes.
this is the lifestyle. They're not just promoting the lifestyle; they're making the excuse to follow it as well. You know, we got to understand that too. That's the psychological part of all this. But I mean, you know, like I say, we got to look at the. You know, I used to work in marketing many years ago. You got to promote things, definitely. You got to promote yourself. You got to promote things. It's just another way to sell something. Okay. Car, you can sell your automobile, but nobody's going to show up to buy it unless you know, let everybody know it's for sale. Okay, that's just the way that works, and that's what these guys are doing. Hey, we're for sale. Our lifestyle's for sale. This is what we do. You can be cool like us. You know?
Yeah, be cool like us. Eat. Okay, this is, I was about to say cannibalism. Okay, because I'm about to go there, y'all. I think it's time for us to do let's talk about this a little bit. Okay, because there's an actress who's made headlines this past year too, for being kind of out there. Like she's risen to the ranks, the highest echelon of like I want to say Broadway movies, singer. We're talking about Ariana Grande. Okay, and she made some headlines recently because she was being interviewed and she talked about how she had her brain wiped, her memory wiped at some kind of cloning facility or something. I don't even know, y'all. Some kind of, she's like, oh, that was before my memory was wiped. I don't remember these things because my memory has been wiped. Okay. But she was accused of cannibalism. Okay. And I'm not going to say she was accused of eating people. She was accused of, she said this herself. She wasn't just accused of it. But TikTok went on a rampage about it, right?
There's a thing going on, Justin. I don't know if you ever heard about this, but it's called soul transference thing, where they
Yes.
go around actually, they wipe their memory, they wipe their cells clean, and they have a soul put in them, supposedly, and a spirit that's put in them. This is called soul transference. And you there's two ways to do this. You can do it voluntarily, or you can do it involuntarily. You know, like somebody comes up and shakes your hand, they can actually transfer their spirit into you, and it supposedly is a form of demonic possession in some ways. But you gotta ask the question: why would somebody on purpose wipe themselves like that? Why would they wipe their memory and the very essence of their being? Are they getting ready to be inhabited by something else? That would tie into a lot of that stuff we talked about earlier with the satanic cults and stuff that turn you into vampires, werewolves, and all that. The old you, the old person that's you, must die to be replaced by the new thing that's coming in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a spiritual concept that's been known for thousands of years, supposedly. The old person must die for the new person to rise again out of it, or for that new spirit to take over. This is a big tenet, a big thing that's done in voodoo, by the way, to a certain degree. And in Santeria, this is allowing spirits inside of you for certain reasons, which is very, very absolutely, folks. I cannot tell you enough how very dangerous that is. Okay, that's very dangerous. You're just opening yourself up for some very bad and ugly stuff down the line. But they're doing this voluntarily. I mean, this is another thing that's recently come up. Soul transference type stuff. What the heck? You know, where does this get happy? You know,
Oh yeah.
that's crazy.
Oh yeah. And there's some actors and people who are famous that are not real excited about the idea of having clones and stuff and having souls transfer, because what does that mean for them? I mean, how long will they stick around when they're not needed anymore? They've got clones. Now this is a website, y'all. This is wild. The Cannibal Guy. Okay. thecannibalguy.com. And it says, what is it like to be edible? Okay. Now, this is all semi back, and I'm only bringing this up because this is weird and it's interesting, right? Dinner with Dahmer, Ariana Grande's cannibalism fantasy. And it said in a recent episode of Penn Badgley's podcast, Ariana Grande said that Jeffrey Dahmer would be her dream dinner guest. I think I would have loved to meet him. And so people got really in a tizzy over this. Everybody's panties got in a wad over this, and it is a little gross, right? But she said Jeffrey Dahmer is pretty fascinating. I really wish I could have met him. Dennis, this is coming from an up and coming actress, singer, performer. I mean, could this just be for publicity? I mean, it could be just a publicity stunt, but could it also be soft disclosure, Dennis? What do you think?
Well, see, they're glamorizing this stuff too. See, I mean, look at somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer. Who would want to glamorize something like that? The guy was a sick, very sick cannibal. Okay, cannibalistic guy, and he would rape young men and then eat them. Come on, I mean, how would you glamorize something like that? Let me tell you something. If that's your idol, or if that's something you really like, you've got a sick soul inside of you. Okay, definitely, there's something bad wrong there, folks. And I would tell her if I met her tomorrow, hey, you might need to go think about getting some help somewhere. Okay, if you think that guy was fun, okay. How about John Wayne Gacy? You would probably love him. Anyway, that's just crazy. But here's the thing about it, Jessica. When it comes to vampirism and cannibalism, they go hand in hand, by the way. Because, like I said, these dark rituals to become these things require you to partake of human flesh. Okay, that's part of it. But it is an anti-sacrament. It is a blasphemous sacrament that you're engaging in. You remember, at the Passover when Jesus said, you take this is my flesh, it's given for you, that was the sacrament. That's still to this day venerated in churches and stuff like that. He didn't tell you to actually go eat human flesh here. Okay, folks. He said, do this as what? As remembrance. Okay, do it as remembrance of me. Okay, you're eating bread, not flesh here. Okay. But they take it one step further. Oh, we'll actually make it flesh. We'll drink the blood. We'll do the red gravy, as we like to call it, whatever you want to call it. We'll do that because it is what? A corruption of that wonderful thing that was given to mankind. It's a corruption of it. So we will not only corrupt it when we do corruption on stuff, we also do destruction on stuff. That's what it's all about. So they're destroying these things, these holy rites and stuff like that. That's what it's all about. And sure, that's why they were taking the human flesh, because one thing, you're not supposed to do that. God really doesn't want you to do that. He says throughout the whole Bible, they tell you not to do that. Don't let your children pass through the fire. You know what that was? They used to sacrifice children, burning them alive to Baal, and then drink their blood. And God said, don't do that. That's not nice. Don't do that. I don't want that's an abomination to me. Don't you do that. Don't you let your children pass through the fire. God set down certain precepts that were not only against him, but the laws of nature as well. But that's what these people are thumbing their noses at him. They're saying, we're going to do what we want to do, regardless of what you say. Yeah. This is the ultimate corruption and destruction mode that they're in. That's exactly what they're doing. And they're trying to destroy all the good things in our world by corrupting it first. That's the beginning of destruction, is corruption. And that's what they're doing.
It is. And one of the biggest topic that I like to highlight here on my channel are missing people. And I focus on missing people in our national parks with the connection to cryptids or just government cover-ups and things like that. But a lot of our children are going missing here in the United States every year.
Let me tell you something, Justin. We got to understand here, okay? With enough money, I can buy all the people I want. I can buy all the children. I can buy anything I want. Don't you understand that? With the right enough power and money, I can buy anything I want. I can make you disappear tomorrow if I want to. Okay, that's the power that these people hold in this world, folks. We don't understand that because we don't have power like that. But this power corrupts you completely, absolutely. That's what it does to you. It turns you into darkness. And you don't care what they are buying and selling these children. That's where these children are going. A lot of them are disappearing into like we talked about this before the show, the Finders Club thing. You know, they're actually auctioning people, live living people. Oh, you think slavery is finished? You think if slavery got abolished 200 years? No, 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 no. It's worse now than it has ever been in the history of mankind. It's just kind of went under the table, out of sight, but it's still there. And that's the way evil deals. It deals under the table. You can't play a fair game, card game with evil. It always deals underhanded, under the table on you. And that's the way they're working. You can buy anything if you've got the power and the money in this world. Anything or anyone.
Mm-hmm. That's right. In rose thistle artworks, that's right. Animals would die to protect their babies, and a lot of us parents would too. Okay, us humans. But it's almost like, what is that? Like a boiling frog theory kind of thing, right? Like Dennis stated earlier in the show, it's like we have been desensitized to so much of this stuff that's going on in the world, and so much is hidden from us. And all these missing children thing, that's not always reported in the mainstream news and stuff. And but it is a problem of epidemic proportions. I mean, one child going missing is too many. Okay, it's just it's overwhelming when we really think about the enormity of what's going on in this world. But let's get back to the elite parties and things. We're talking about vampires today. And I did mention the cannibalism aspect. We're talking about that whole Ariana Grande. Of course, she and her brother, which is another whole rabbit hole to go down with her brother, because she had a boyfriend for a while that looked like an exact replica of her brother. So I don't know, y'all. It's weird. It's really weird. But her brother went on on the defense and was trying to defend his sister, saying, well, she's vegan. She doesn't eat meat anyways.
That used to be a big thing in witchcraft and satanic circles. Incest is another requirement. They engage in incest. That's another big taboo. Okay,
Really?
they like to mess with. Ooh. Definitely incest. And so you've got, fathers having sex with their daughters, and mothers having sex with their sons, and all this other stuff, and brothers and sisters, and all of that. This is just another thumb in your nose of God kind of thing. That's part of it too. We don't like to talk about this nasty stuff, but that's what it is. I mean, that's what they're engaging in, and that's why. And like I said, they're desensitizing us to it. They're saying, "Oh, this is okay. It's all right. I'm promoting it. You should be okay with it."
Yes. Well, we're not all okay with it. Okay, we're not all okay with that. But yeah, and it is, and we get in trouble for talking about this kind of stuff too, Dennis. I always have to be careful. We got to say for entertainment purposes only, because the powers that be don't want information getting out and things like that. And it is quite uncomfortable to talk about. I'm not comfortable talking about these things today. But we're doing it. We're doing it because we need to, because this is all connected, going even from the Labubu dolls. Okay. And speaking of which, the Labubu dolls are marketed towards children and maybe teenagers, but a bunch of adults are buying them. And I do remember an ad. Oh, go ahead.
That's what somebody said the other day, Jessica. Satan knows the value of marketing. Okay. It is a very valuable tool for him, definitely. And he knows how to market these things. He knows how to market the songs and the movies and the video games and the dolls and the whole works. He knows how to market it. He's smart. Okay. He knows what he's doing. The forces of darkness are not stupid, my friends. They are definitely smarter than we ever give them credit for. We've got to be careful because that's the enemy we're dealing with. These guys are the enemies of not only truth and justice and the American way, okay? They are the enemies of everything we hold most dear. And that's what they're out to do. They're out to destroy those things. They're out to corrupt and destroy and do away with the things that we hold dear. And that's not good because these guys are spiritual thieves. They're out to steal the good things from us. And we shouldn't put up with that. You know, we shouldn't let them get away with it.
That's right. Well, okay, so I wanted to go back to, let's talk about Balenciaga for a minute, because that is a very famous fashion designer, very much tied in with the elites. And that's actually that I'd mentioned that music artist Sexy Red was her name, and she was talking about how she was on a live on social media talking about how she had been at they were just leaving a Balenciaga party, and she had sold her soul. And when she didn't want to take, she would never take it back. She loves the money too much. She said she likes the lifestyle. She loves the money. She's not gonna lie. She loves it. And but she was there, and Balenciaga is known, and this is for entertainment purposes only. They did an ad campaign a couple years ago, and it was like children with teddy bears with like, I'm going to say S&M type leather, straps and whips and all this stuff. It was very sexualized as far as having children with teddy bears like that. And it stirred up a lot. Now, maybe it is for the shock factor, but it's not appropriate whatsoever, coming from a mother who has a child, a small child. Well, he's not that small now, but still, it's just, it seemed, and people were calling it satanic and all that kind of stuff. But let's take it a step further because, okay, it just keeps going and going and going. There was a Balenciaga model who had gone missing. Okay. And I think his name was Christopher, and he had gone missing a few years ago. And they were saying nobody knew where this guy was. And all of a sudden in Paris at the Balenciaga store, this mannequin showed up in the window, and I'll be darned if it's not a spitting image of this Christopher guy. Okay. And so this is it. I'm going to show this to the audience. And there were people that were very concerned about this because they were saying these mannequins, they look too real.
Well, sometimes if they're doing through some type of transformation and going into these things, you will have to disappear for a while. You will have to go off for a while by yourself while the transformation itself is taking place or whatever. It would be, I think, very hard, especially if you're, well known or, in some pretty heavy social circles. You would definitely have to disappear for a little while, to do some things that you need to do before you could come back,
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense when you think about it.
Oh yeah. Well, this made, I'm going to say, I'm not going to say national news, but it was all over social media for a while. And I did see a video where this guy was claiming, they claimed this was this guy that came back. He's like, no, I'm fine. That wasn't me, but it was a little suspicious. I'm suspicious of stuff like that. But they said that down to the fingers, the wrinkles on the hands, to the hair, to everything, this looked like a real human. And people were very, like I said, very upset about it. And one woman was actually made a video. She said, "Hey, if this is your child, he's here."
It might also be some part of a cloning process too, Jessica. Definitely.
Oh yeah, you know what? It could be. That's a good point, Dennis. That could be a skin. I think they call them skins. I don't know. I know that sounds kind of gross, but it's true. You can buy skins of clones, so that's a great point. I have definitely seen videos of what do you call those? It's like where you have like a big convention, like a cloning conventions and stuff, and they have like body suits, meat suits, basically, that you can purchase. You can transfer your consciousness into, they say. But some of these mannequins are way too lifelike, Dennis. And even the wax figures are a little bit unnerving, if you ask me. But anyways, I just thought it'd be interesting to show the audience that today. I also have one more of these that I'd like to show today. And this is out of Mexico. Speaking of, I know this is not all about vampires, okay, but I came across this. It's called the Pascualita. Pascualita, I think is how you pronounce this. And this is a mannequin in Chihuahua, Mexico, and it's of a woman. And people always thought that it looked weird, right? They always said that it looked like an actual human. And about 90 years ago, the shop owner's daughter died.
Yeah, yes, that's very creepy.
They say that this is supposed to be her right here, but people always suspected that this mannequin was actually like a taxidermed. You want to call it taxidermed? Daughter of the shop owner, and who was said to have died on her wedding day because she got bit by a scorpion. And I thought this was really interesting. It says the daughter of the shop owner who died prematurely on her wedding day, dying of a scorpion sting. The detail work is incredible. Fingers have wrinkles and nails. So here's a picture right here. Check this out. I mean, that hand right there, that looks like a real hand.
Very, very, very immaculate type of a thing to do. Look at that. That goes beyond just being artistic. I think definitely that tells you that it's not what it may appear to be.
No, and her eyes. They say that like the skin around her eyes and her mouth and her nose was discolored at times. And everything, her eyebrows were real, and it just is too uncanny to not be an actual human with that. But
I don't think there's intricate artwork of any kind. I think that's the real deal. And it's very much like the wax museum thing, where all the figures in the wax museum are actually just people covered in wax. You have to wonder about that. Taxidermists can do amazing things. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I guess so. I mean, we talked about I think you were on the show with me. We showed that video of a gentleman who was filming at a wax museum. They called it the witch exhibit, but it was actually a shaman, a woman who was a shaman who had a cigarette in her mouth, I think.
Yeah.
And the wax figure moved its head when the guy was filming it through his phone, and it freaked him out. And this wax figure does not have any kind of moving parts to it, so it should not have moved at all. Okay. But here we go again.
We said on the Labubu doll thing,
right.
The dolls can stand in for us sometimes. And if I were a disembodied spirit, and if I couldn't get in your body, I'd take the next best thing. I'd get in the doll that looks like you. That makes sense when you think about it, folks. If you're a spirit and you don't care where you go, you get the next best thing. And that's what makes dolls and stuff so freaky about things like that. They're not going to be just stand-ins for us. They can actually hold disembodied spirits, supposedly. They're containers, if you look at it that way. And they can be containers for a lot of things you might not think might be there. But you look at something like that, to me, and those fingernails and all that, that would, if I were a cop in that city, I would be definitely investigating something very close to that to see what's really what. Because if that is just a waxwork, it is a magnificent piece of artwork. Definitely, you can do that with it. But I don't know. I'd have to be very suspicious of that, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of wax museums and wax figures and even of dolls. Okay. And yeah, I was 100% about to make that connection with the Labubu dolls and them being, we talk about the consciousness transfers with the cloning, and that's how we started off the show today, and that's kind of how we're ending the show today, is with could there be some kind of consciousness transfers, with these dolls and mannequins?
You remember the story of the Jewish golem? You made this figure out of clay. You put a secret tablet in its mouth, and it brings it to life, and it has a spirit in it, supposedly. That's what you're looking at here with dolls, definitely. I mean, what is a golem? It's just a big clay doll walking around. That's basically what it is, and that kind of tells you that these things can be inhabited by spirits in that way. And like I said, they're like a walking Dybbuk box. We all know what a Dybbuk box is. What if you put legs on it and arms on it? You still got a Dybbuk box here, folks. It just could be walking around with it, or look like it's going to walk around, whatever the case may be. You've got a divvy box. You've got a spirit container. That's what I like to call them.
Oh gosh. So a mannequin can be a spirit container too, which is absolutely scary. And just thinking about I called it taxidermed humans turn into mannequins. I mean, we've heard some horror stories about people who's, like a gentleman like whose wife died, and he was so distraught over it, he turned her into like a doll or a mannequin or something, and something out of the Twilight Zone, Dennis.
We got to look at it this way too, Jessica. That's what the voodoo doll does. I'm still looking for that lock of hair, by the way. Anyway,
Not mine.
Anyway, that doll would be you, Jessica. If I had a voodoo doll of you and had your hair and a piece of your clothing on, whatever, that is you, per se. And what I do to it happens to you. Okay, there's a connection between you and that doll. Guess what kind of a connection it is? It can be a little bit of a physical connection, but mainly it's a what? Spiritual connection between you and the doll. Okay. And you know what? Here's the weird thing, the freaky thing to think about. You can also form this connection with other objects. Okay, like say you had a favorite hairbrush that you like to use. And when you pass on, maybe you're still attached to that hairbrush in some ways. I'm just using that as an example. There could be other things. Hey, guess what? You can be attached to other people. Okay? So that would be like, if they think, well, we buried Jessica yesterday, but she's still around. She's hanging around with us. She's still hanging here with us, okay? You might still form attachments to people and places and things. There can be spiritual attachment here, folks. Absolutely. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know this exists. And so nothing's off the board when it comes to that kind of stuff.
That's quite narcissistic of people to want to do stuff like that, though, too. And this is my opinion on this. I think that, not that anybody's asking, but I'll tell you, I think it's very narcissistic for people to want to take people's hair and try to control them and, make them do things and have voodoo dolls. I mean, it's just playing God in people's lives where they should not be playing God. Okay. And thank you, Maureen. Yes, don't eat Soylent Green. I agree with that. Thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate you so much. Don't eat Soylent Green. It's people. But yeah, what do you think about that, Dennis? Isn't it quite narcissistic and like playing God in people's lives to do stuff like that?
Absolutely. That's what magic is all about. Black magic is all about control and changing reality, changing it to the way you want it to be. Who's it come back to? You. You're playing God here in this thing, okay? And you're saying, I want it to be this way. I want it to be that way. I want someone to fall in love with me. I want somebody to give me a lot of money. Whatever the situation is, okay? You're playing God. And that's never a good thing. That never gonna turn out right, folks. No matter which way you look at it. I don't care how you look at it. You could write books about this, and there have been books written on it. It's not gonna come out the way you think it is. It's always gonna come out bad when you play God. I don't care if you play God, if you want to be narcissistic and play God with people's lives instead of your own and other people's lives. Well, that's bad enough doing it with your own, but then you really screw up doing it with other people's lives. And that's not gonna come out good either. Okay, no matter which way you look at it. And that's not a good thing. You're actually, and like I said this before about touching people's minds, okay, you're actually doing the ultimate privacy invasion thing going on here, okay? Yeah. Well, who am I to come and say, Jessica, I want you to live like this, or I want you to do that, I want you to do that. Who am I to tell you that? That's your business, not mine. And there's a whole lot of trouble in this world happens because we get into other people's business instead of taking care of our own. That's the way it goes.
I know it's intrusive, and it's just leave everybody alone, man. Everybody go live your own lives. Don't be trying to put spells on people and stuff. It's kind of silly. But we're talking about the masses today, and like the people who are like the most popular singers and people in the music industries and the fashion industry and the art industries and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of shoved down our throats in a way. Okay. Do I dare say, when it comes to the fashion that's put out there, if you want to call it fashion, I mean, I'm cool with my denim shirt and my t-shirt and my stretchy pants. I don't know, flip-flops. I'm cool. And, it's all an art form. It's all, I'm gonna say, like luxury and stuff, but it's fashion, it's music, it's art, but it's like veiled Satanism as well, right? It's almost just like a way, an excuse to put spells on the masses and to do satanic rituals to the masses in front of them. It's a conductor, basically.
If you could sit down tomorrow and you could say, okay, everybody watches my show, I'm going to put a spell on them, I'm going to play with their lives, and I'm going to really screw them up, do what I want to. That's not good. Okay. Yeah. If you come and start doing something like that, that's not good when you do people that way. Okay. You're one of the bad guys. I don't care which way you look at it. If you're doing stuff like that, you're on the bad side, folks. Okay. You're not on the good side. I don't care if you're doing that with dresses or your dolls or whatever it is you're doing that with. Stop it. That's not right. That's not good. You're messing with people here and you shouldn't be,
Yeah, exactly. It is. And Joshua, I'm not sure if you're still in here today. I'm so sorry that I missed all these earlier. Thank you for gifting the 5 Cryptid Huntress memberships to the audience today. I appreciate you. And thank you for being a member of the Hunt Club as well. That is so sweet. I appreciate all the support from everybody. Thank y'all so much for that. But yeah, it's so here's what we're doing today. We're making everyone aware of what's going on, kind of, and we're just kind of putting it out there because the more you know, right? The more you know, the better choices that we can make, for ourselves and our children, which is very important. But I have, like I said, I have been contacted by numerous people since last week's show on the Labubu dolls, and one of them was actually yesterday. A good friend of mine is having some issues. She's not having issues. The children are having issues that she's working with because these dolls keep coming up in some of the work she's doing with them, and it is at the detriment. It is not good for these children and what it's doing to their psyches, basically, and their spiritual well-being. Okay, and it's not. We talked about the idea of it being, well, what if it's just a cute doll and it's just a big buzz about it? I don't think so. I think that maybe the collective consciousness too could have made it worse. Okay. As far as like the evil aspects or demonic aspects of whatever's going on here. It's just like with that Annabelle doll, Dennis. When Annabelle made the tour around America, plantations burned down. There were things that happened, right? And it was like on a path of destruction. Well, it could be the same with these Labubu dolls, I would think.
Absolutely. We got to remember something that nature has taught us, and we should learn our lessons well. Some of the most beautiful looking fruit in the world can kill you. It's very poisonous. Okay, just because it looks good, and maybe it smells good doesn't mean it's good, folks. Okay, and we got to remember that. Especially, we got to remember, like I said earlier, about the marketing going on here. The marketing is everything. I used to be in marketing, and our number one goal was to get you to believe you had to have something. Okay, you had to have it beyond all doubt, no matter what it was. You had to have a service, so you had to have this. And it wasn't enough saying, here we are offering this service if you ever need it. We were saying you need this service. Yeah, that's what marketing is. It's convincing you of something. So be very careful what you let people convince you of, my friends. It may not be the good stuff that you need in your life.
Yes. Brandon says it's better to have a mannequin woman than a volleyball. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was that what was that movie with Tom Hanks? He had that volleyball. That's another rabbit hole with the whole bloody handprint on there and all this other stuff that's going on today. So yes, thank you, C Duke. This is for entertainment purposes only, y'all. Okay, y'all. Oh man. Okay, this is a good question. Yeah, this is a good question from Kirby's 100. Have I ever seen any vampire? Have I smelled his or her breath? I don't know for certain. I'm not sure.
That's the big giveaway. The breath. They having extremely bad breath.
Dragon breath.
I'm not talking about just skipping and brushing your teeth once here. I'm talking about very bad, deadly stuff here, folks. Okay, dragon breath. Okay, that's one sign. There can be other signs of the vampiric. There can be, the icy cold touch. It can be the unemotional aspects. They will have no emotion in their eyes. They will have no emotion for you in many aspects. You will feel this before you see it a lot of times. That's why it's so very important to pay attention to what you feel, okay? You will feel it. It's like the vampire girl I ran into, and I've run into a couple of vampires in my day, folks, okay? And she had that real funky kind of feeling about her, okay? And pay attention to that. That's something trying to tell you something important is going on here with that situation. But these people have there's different signs to them, and like I say, they can be if you pay very attention, unlike the werewolf with the unibrow. They can have some very subtle signs. You got to remember the thing. You know what Abraham Van Helsing also said about the vampire. The strength of the vampire is that no one will believe in him. And we must remember
right.
that. That's very important. Yeah, they are real. They are real out there. And they are very deadly and very dangerous, not only physically, but spiritually as well.
That just reminded me of something, Dennis. So with the whole Ariana Grande cannibalism stuff, she went on Saturday Night Live, SNL, which a lot of these actors and actresses go on SNL, or they have, and they make fun of these rituals that they do, and they act like it's a joke, and everybody laughs, and they have a laugh track behind it, and it becomes funny humor, ha ha ha. You know, like The Rock talking about the robot. Y'all know, I don't know, some of y'all know what I'm talking about, the child, let's say corn robot or something like that. I mean, it's horrible, and people laughed about it. That's not funny.
That's that old play we used to do when I played football. You know, you look like the quarterback's going down here when he's going somewhere else. Okay, that's what these guys are doing. They're saying, "Oh, this is funny, it's humor, it's entertainment," but there's something below that, my friend. Yeah. The imagery below that is the subtle message they're trying to get across to you. Okay, don't fall for that trick. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. All right. We used to call that, I think it was called the Statue of Liberty play. Okay, you're holding up like you're gonna throw it somewhere else, and you got another direction to go in. That's what these guys are doing. They're doing smoke and mirrors on you, definitely.
Yeah, it's not funny, okay, and but when they use the humor, they're putting. I think that they could be putting the truth out there for all of us to look at, and it's like you said, it's like, oh, that would never happen, it's not true, but they're putting it out there. They're not laughing, they're doing it and not laughing, but to us, like the normal human would never even wrap their head around the fact that that could be the truth. Okay, it's so horrible that we just have to laugh about it. That's the way it is, and that's the way it's always been. I think that's how a lot of these elite people have gotten away with it for so long.
It kind of makes us uncomfortable. That's why we want to kind of make fun of it and laugh at it, because it makes us uncomfortable. But yet we need to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I have been uncomfortable during the show talking about this stuff. Okay. So I'm sorry. I'm just glad that we're able to put it out there and have a conversation about it, Dennis. And you are a perfect co-host for me to have today to talk about this. And I really do appreciate you being here. You make it easier to talk about, actually, because of your knowledge.
I'd like to end the show with another quote today. I started out with Abraham Van Helsing. Here's another one of my favorite quotes. My mission, wherever providence may lead me, is to seek out evil and rid the world of it. Solomon Kane. And I think that's what we all need to do. When we confront this evil, it's one thing to confront it and know it's there. The other thing is we need to actively fight against it. We need to do that. And there's so many different ways that we can do that. And for one thing, the main way we can actively fight against this darkness, folks, is not to participate in it. Not to have anything to do with it. That's one main way that you can really combat this, okay? So you be thinking about that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, just be aware. And that's why we do these shows. We do these shows, and be aware of what your kids are consuming, you guys, and just keep an eye on them because they are big targets. for a lot of this propaganda or the, just the rituals and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I do not consent to being turned into a clone or a mannequin. Okay. Something we got to add to the list. Things we do not consent to. We do not consent. Okay.
We got the original 100% real Jessica here, and that's what we want. Okay.
I mean, I hope so. I don't think I'm a clone. Shoot. I mean, at this point, would we even know? That's the question. Like, how would we even know? But I don't know. Man, Dennis, this is a wonderful, wonderful show today. Thank you so much for being here. Tell the audience about your YouTube channel, your Patreon, and what you got going on tonight over on Hunting the Shadows.
Okay, well, tonight I will be doing a show with my good friend Gerald Fountain. We will be doing another episode of The Road Less Traveled. We're going to be talking about backyard cryptids. Some of them are living in your trees, folks. We're going to be talking about that. And Wednesday night, I have an all-female squad of Bigfoot hunters on my show, Hunting the Shadows, the She-Squatchers. Are going to be on, and I think we'll have a good time with that. And then Friday night, I will be reviewing the new book that I did the foreword on of D.A. Winsong, who did a book called the Jewel City Vampires, Monster Hunters of America series. It's already a bestseller on Amazon, okay? Going to talk about that and review that. Also, today I'm going to be doing a podcast very shortly on Monsters on the Edge with Barnaby Jones, so that should be very interesting. And also, I've got coming up with Mr. Scott on Spaced Out Radio. I'll be doing a show with him.
Oh yeah, Spaced Out Radio. Is that Friday night? I saw that.
Yeah, so I'll be doing one with him very shortly. And also, you can find my channel at Hunting the Shadows YouTube podcast channel. I have a Patreon, and I also have membership open in the Shadow Hunters Club. And if you need to reach me for anything, you can reach me at DennisWCarroll.com. And my books are also available on Barnes and Noble. I'm out of breath.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was a lot. That was a lot there to say, Dennis. That's amazing. You're a busy man. You've got a lot going on, and I am so thankful and blessed to have you here today. And it's, yeah, I love it. I enjoy it. I really do. And so you guys go over to DennisWCarroll.com if you'd like to get in touch with Dennis, and also Hunting the Shadows tonight, Wednesday and Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, you guys, thank y'all so much for being here today. And I wanted to recognize a couple of people I didn't get to that just became members of the Hunt Club today. Linez Lee, thank you so much for becoming a member of the Hunt Club. And Maureen has been with the Hunt Club for 17 months. Lucky 17, get your bling at War Woman Goods. That's so sweet, Maureen. Thank you so much for that. And I'll see you in Florida next week at the Full Disclosure Now conference. Also, Joshua became a member of the Hunt Club during the show today and gifted 5 Cryptid Hunters memberships, which is amazing. And also, thanks again, Maureen, for the super sticker. I appreciate it so much. You guys, I hope everybody learned a little something today. I know it's a little dark, okay, but this is what's going on in our world right now, and it's better to be aware than to not know, and to walk around with blinders on. And so, yes, y'all don't live in fear, okay, and just be aware of what's going on. We don't have to participate in that. You don't have to consent to it. Banish it, do whatever you got to do. Okay. And just protect the children out there. And I will see you guys back here on Wednesday. I'm sending all my love and light to you guys. Have a wonderful day, y'all. And yes, y'all have, I was going to say have a wonderful day, but I've already said that. I'm sending all my love and light to you guys. Dennis, we'll see you tonight over on your channel. Okay. And y'all come meet us over on Hunting the Shadows tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Bye, y'all.